cast it. It's the heat that drives the light. It's the fire it ignites. It's not the waking, it's the rising. It's not the song, it is the singing. It's the head, not a human spirit ringing. It is the bringing of a light. It is the bearing of a rhyme. It's not the waking, it's the rising. And I could cry, power, 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 Lord. Nina cried, power. Billy cried, power. Mavis cried, power. And I could cry, power, 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 Lord. Curtis cried, power. Patty cried, power. Nina cried, power. It's a cover done by this woman called Abby Berman. Yeah, do you know Hosier? Oh, so Hosier is this Irish, well, I say Irish group, yeah. And Nina Cried Power is his song, but she's taken it to a whole other thing. Yeah. Hello, 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 hello. Hi, Irene. I see you is that a bus? It is a bus, isn't it? Yeah, thanks for showing up. Hello, 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 hello. So I'll give it a couple of seconds. I'll give it a couple of seconds for people to possibly arrive, and then we will start. We'll get started. And today we're going to be going into confident command. Confident command. When I say confident command, what comes up for you? How would you define confident command? Hi, Jan. Good to see you.
Okay,
I was just asking what's when you hear the phrase confident command, what comes up? Not doubting your intention. Ownership of the self. Yes, confident command. As I plan my next season of concerts, the belief in myself, in the vision, and the need to be in charge, as well to steer the vessel. Yes. Calming down the mind, confident command. Hi, Janice. I've just been opening out for what confident command is. What does it mean? How would you define it? There's so many layers of confident command. So in a moment, I'll just take us into a meditation where we just get to center and ground and root and be here right now. And then from there, we will go into opening up and embodying what it means to have confident command. Belief in myself and sharing that belief with others. Yes. All right, if it's safe for you to do so, just take a moment to close your eyes and come into breath. I could see you, Irene, in the midst of everything. So maybe your closing eyes and coming into breath might be a different thing. Yeah, just coming into breath. Maybe for you, it's just coming into breath and breathing from the diaphragm. Opening up to fill your lungs as you're breathing in, emptying them out as you're breathing out. Really coming into alignment with your center, with your alignment with being here, being now. And bringing your attention to your navel point, witnessing a light switching on at your navel. And witness as that light begins to expand and grow and radiate stronger, filling your abdominals and simultaneously moving down the body through your pelvic bowl, your thighs, your knees, your calves, your ankles, your feet, and up your body through your chest space, down into your arms, hands, and fingers, up through your throat, up through your head, all the way up to the top of your head. And taking a moment to take inventory that you are filled with your own light from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. And just take a moment to have a little bit of a play. How does it feel to amplify that light so it grows stronger and stronger and brighter, so that it feels like it's engulfing your entire body, so that your own physical body seemingly disappears and all that's left is a beam of light. And then how does it feel to bring that light in so it is again contained in your body? And it's a source of amplification in the cells. And then what does it feel like to bring that light even more in so that it is basically lighting up just a nucleus of the cell? So there's all these starlights, 70 trillion starlights within you as your cells light up at their nucleus. And just expanding that light again so that it's filling the entire inner body of you. And when you're ready, just opening your eyes. So, confident command. As always, with all of these things, it's a reflection through me. It's a reflection as the frequency comes through me, as it radiates through me. But ultimately, it's reflecting into you. And then you feel into what your reflection is, what feels in alignment for you, what is lighting up for you, what is true for you, what is valid for you. So it's allowing the reflection to be a catalyst for something that is received by you, but pay attention to what's being received. So the first word here is command. What does it mean to be in command? You know, there's so many sacred texts that talk about the command. And very often it's a masculine character with a staff standing on the top of a hill with a command, commanding. But what does it mean? So we spoke about frequency previously, and we spoke about the congruence of frequency. So when the frequency on the inside is aligned, it immediately attracts a like frequency on the outside, and this is happening all the time. And the outside is always mirroring the inside. So, and energy is not lying in this. So basically it gives a reflection of exactly what is there. When we speak the language of command, we're speaking the language of an entity that is not divided in itself. An entity that is in full congruence, full alignment with a particular quality of a frequency. And that command is immediately felt. You know, it's immediately felt. We have all these words for it. We've got the words like, you know, charisma or personality or character, you know, a breath of fresh air, a beaming light. You know, we've got all of these ways, a star. You know, we've got all of these ways of speaking into that level of congruency and energy. And the thing about congruency with energy is it doesn't necessarily make it a positive or a negative. Like you can have somebody holding a congruency of energy, and it's not necessarily for the good and the greatest of all, right? We see a lot of that going on as well. Yeah. So this is a command that we all have as humans. You know, the thing that you are agreeing to the most within yourself and you're not divided in creates a congruency of frequency that then is aligning you and is projecting into the world and demanding a match. And the way that it demands a match is a command. It's basically saying, you know, I am standing here vibrating at this rate. And so everything on the outside of me that is an equal match for this is commanded to present itself. Command. And then what is confidence? Confidence is that element of the undivided. It's that element where everything is stacking up and you're feeling empowered, you're feeling rooted, you're feeling in alignment. That alignment is coming from the origination rather than being plugged into origin, somebody else's origin, and even your own origin. At this point, you are in alignment with your soul leadership, your soul qualities, your soul guidance. You're in alignment with a greater aspect of yourself. So when you put the both together, confident, command, what you're really putting together here is that sort of sense of being fully in alignment with yourself and the conscious recognition that that alignment is vibrating your cosmos, vibrating your energy field, and actually bringing forward a match. You know, there's no doubt in your mind of this going on. Confident command. So what's coming up when I say this? What's presenting itself? What's opening up for you? How is this landing? There's a really small group here today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you, if it feels right to do so, to just open up your airwaves so you can open your mic up and just share. If it feels for you to share, just share. But when you feel into confident command for yourself, and I'll start with you actually, Kate, because you were talking about your concert. When you feel into confident command from this place, what does that feel like for you in light of what you're bringing forward there? Oh, okay, no problem. Just giving some space and just pausing to let you just come into alignment with what this means for you. At the beginning of everything I was saying about bringing a project or bringing something that you're working on to the fore, so that we can actually use this in this whole time here in terms of how you build that and how you grow that. And ultimately what we've been doing is just bringing you into alignment with your own quality of presence and all the layers of the quality of your presence. But when it comes into confident command, when it comes into an alignment without any doubt, without any division, and it comes into alignment with what it is that you're bringing into the world, what's coming up for that? Yeah.
So yesterday, you put some words to something that I've been playing with, and it confirmed for me sort of my central idea and purpose in this world, which is the connection between the human and the divine.
Yeah.
And giving words to that and life to it, and giving example to it as well, in living it myself.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're talking about today also kind of further confirms it, because in order for you to be congruent with your own frequency, you have to be aware of it. And so that's the inside story aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then putting it out into the world requires the command, because you have to now take this thing and put it out.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for that to be felt as a frequency, it needs to be done confidently. But you can't confidently do that until you are congruent with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, because I was playing with a word, I was playing with the outers as the second book in follow-up to the inside story, to kind of marry the two things.
Mm-hmm.
Again, my purpose here on this field, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this just kind of slaps it all together. You know, the inside story, the outers, we're living a human experience, so we have to connect the two. But we can't do the outer unless we've done the inner. Because
Yeah.
what are we projecting? Then it's reverse. It's we're
Yeah.
not doing the inner, because we're being projected upon.
Yes. 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 Absolutely. 100%. Yes. Yes. I feel that in my belly. Yeah. I mean, basically, and the thing is, it's like we say, like, put it out there, right? But ultimately, when we're congruent, there's a sense of being guided and led. It's almost like you cannot not put it out there, because you're like you're radiating the frequency, right?
Yes, yeah.
So what ultimately then happens is that on a soul level, because of that congruency, you find yourself with the urge, and the urge is like you know, almost like a desire to drink water, you know, that it has to be fulfilled, this kind of real deep-seated urge to take it out, you know. And we all know that, we all feel that. It's a yearning, it's a soul tug, you know. And it's the congruency that then tugs us into
Yes,
the outer, you know.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, what's coming? Okay, so Kate, um when I'm in confident command, there's flow and an ease navigating the challenges. I'm creating, producing, performing, raising funds for local organizations, while also paying the other musicians and myself. And there is a gem of beauty and joy that keeps me going and returns confidence to me. Yes, confidence to me in a loop. I love what you've put here, because I feel like we're all in the process of building community in one way or another. And the thing about divinity, the thing about congruency, when we're plugging into the origination, is it is completely and utterly plugged into living and life, and it's plugged into evolution and growth. Evolution being that sense of the desire to become more of who you actually are, you know? So it's not evolution just for the evolution's sake. It's this sense that actually, because we're multidimensional beings and we're infinite beings in reality, but obviously in the finite world that we're living, we will only ever live certain aspects of that depending on our capacity and our perspective and our way of viewing. As soon as we actually start to open up and plug deeper into divinity, what we're brought into is more and more of our infinite nature. You know, so the evolution part comes in, and that evolution part is also recognizing that there is no separation, which is why the desire for community comes in. You know, it recognizes that I am you, you are me, right? So it starts to eradicate that sort of like the space between us. And divinity is always involved in eradicating the space between us. We have so many names for it. We call it healing. We call it feeling better. You know what I mean? We call it, it's why the human needs community, you know? Because naturally there's no space between us. And it's only when we recognize that for sure, for certain, that we are living in full congruence with our divine nature, you know? Yeah. Confident command. So this is taking us into words as spells. Words as spells. We have a whole range of vocabulary to express frequency. And that's a beautiful thing of words, is that we can, and it's also the beautiful thing of being human and being conscious, because well, this is from human perspective, right? So human perspective says that the human has the advantage over the animal kingdom because humans are able to communicate and be able to communicate in very intricate ways. So you can actually, in a paragraph, really tell somebody a story about something that gives them, takes it from your mind and puts it directly into theirs, possibly, right? So humans have this thing. Although anybody who watches any kind of nature program knows that nature's not far off itself, right? It's like the birds have different ways of cheeping to communicate a whole range of things, you know? It's just we don't understand what they're saying, so we just assume. You know, fish, I mean, fish are endlessly, us humans say fish have got no memory. So like literally fish don't remember anything 2 seconds in front of itself. Yet if you go into any kind of program that actually puts a camera into the ocean for long enough, you start to realize that there's a collective mind that fish have, you know, and it's each of those entities are fed by the collective mind, you know. So and they understand no separation better than we do because of that collective mind, you know. Why do salmon find themselves up where they need to find themselves to lay their eggs? Collective mind, you know. So nature is actually showing us all these things, but coming back to words and spells. So basically, much as we sort of, you know, try and feel hierarchically sort of superior by the fact that we can speak words and, you know, convey message, ultimately there are times when words do us a bit of a disservice for that very same reason, because of the fact that we can actually take words and really relay certain frequencies. Our words will always be dependent on the level of vocabulary that we've got. You know, it's like whenever you ask somebody something and they say, okay, I'm fine, it's like, okay, well, you know, your experience of your life is only going to be it's only going to be within a certain range. You know, it's only going to be within a certain range. As soon as you actually are able to broaden your vocabulary so that you can actually then start to pick up on the subtle elements of frequency, then you have the capacity to relay that subtle element. And then you get the quiet ones that actually know that, okay, vocabulary just doesn't cut it. I'm just going to just keep my corner and not say anything, because it's like, you know, I mean, how do I even begin to, you know, so let's just, yeah, you know, and at that point, there's this deep feeling that's going on and this deep inner communication that's going on that, you know, they just either don't feel the need to, or maybe don't feel the capacity to express. I feel like when we can come together with an understanding that we have a broad capacity, and I'm not saying that we need to swallow the dictionary or, you know, the thesaurus, but like basically to have a broad enough capacity to express ourselves so that we can express all of the little nuances that are going on the inner. And also be able to, on you know, our inner dialogue with ourselves, be able to translate and relate to some of the things that are flowing and moving through us, you know? So that's one of the parts. Janice knows because she's in the Quantum Business Studio. I keep going on about thesauruses, like take one word. If your word is flow, I know flow is a word, and alignment is a word that us personal development people really love. You know, if flow is a word that you use, take flow, take a thesaurus and turn flow into 50 or 60 other words, you know? So that basically you can broaden and widen and deepen your capacity to connect to what something means to you. Now, the other thing about words and spells is that the spell starts inner and then it moves outer. So I can only speak what I am already in alignment with on a frequency level, you know? Which is why I always say to people, sometimes, like, you know, you look at someone and you're judging them, and you're judging, you know, like what they're wearing, how they're turning up, who they are, that energy is something that you have to cultivate actively within yourself before you can project it. So who's swallowing the pill first? Yeah, who's swallowing that first, right? So basically, when you start to become aware of that, you start to become really mindful about how you're relating to your world and how you're relating. When somebody is there as a reflection for you, to you, are you actually cutting yourself at the knees in order to relate to them? Or are you actually seeing them from the divine perspective of no separation and leaning in with a certain amount of curiosity? How is this person found themselves in front of me, and how have I found myself in front of them, you know? So it's becoming mindful of the internal dialogue that wants to present itself outwards. The other thing about when we come into casting spells and confidence is that we can say so many things that actually give a command to our own self that caps our capacity. I can't connect to, I said to someone recently, you know, so in terms of like connecting to your wider subtle sense of support, what does that feel like to you? Like, are you able to make that connection really clearly? And the person said to me, I've never been able to connect to that. I've never been able to connect to my support system. I was like, whoa, that's a command. That's like a proper, like, all-encompassing, where it's like never, always, you know, everybody, everything. They're all like encompassing commands. So you really have to then be aware of what you're putting after that, you know, because what you put after that is a command for now, for always, until you decide you want to change the command, you know? And if you're going to say never and always and everything and everyone, nobody loves me. Nobody loves me, right? That is like, that's a command for like, whenever you go out into the world, everybody that you see, you're going to see them from the eyes of they're projecting something that I need to hide away or protect myself from, you know? So we do have to be like aware of how we use these all-encompassing words. Everyone loves me. I mean, going into the world with that, even if you don't think it's true at the time, if you keep repeating that as a mantra, everyone loves me, everyone loves me. Like the way that you meet life and the way that life meets you, there's a different kind of invitation in the center of you, you know? Yes, our language can create, reflect, all or nothing perception instead of honoring a continue. Yes. So all or nothing instead of honoring a continuum, you know? Words like can't, I can't do that. It's like an immediate command that you say no to anything that was about to flow out of you. I can't. It says like, I don't have the capacity and I'm not going to find the capacity in this moment. I can't do it. Now, the thing is, it's like there are times when you are in a place where it doesn't feel congruent for you to do something. And you have to, so for example, you need to take a rest. So that means you need to say no to this, or you need to say no to that. And so then you go, oh, I can't do this, or I can't do that. But ultimately, you know, it's kind of like this thing of like, no is a word that actually says everything that you need to say, you know? I mean, you might go into an explanation of what your no means if you feel that way, but basically being aware that you don't disempower yourself every time you try to say no to something, you know? I can't do it. It's not possible for me to do it. Yeah. Really opening out for the ways that we use words as spells and words as commands. When you say I can, and when you say it is possible, something else opens up completely. You engage with life and you invite life to engage with you in a whole other completely different sort of way. So then if you're the alchemist of your experience, you then become very aware and very in alignment with what that's meaning for you. You know, what's that? What is that meaning for you? So I'm going to pause here again and just open up for what's coming up here in the myriad of our landscape of words. What comes up? What might be a wise way of saying no without disempowering ourselves? No. Notice you got like all of these tonalities of ways you could say no, right? No, no, no. You know, like you could say, and then you could actually go into like, if it feels a little too harsh just to say the no, you could go into like an explanation of why the no is not resonant in you, right? You know, I'm saying an empowered no because you can say something like that, right? If you so desire. But the word no is complete in and of itself. And then anything that you do after that is just for communication, clear communication between you and the other, you know? Yeah. It's really interesting to talk about and to feel into the empowered no, because there is an empowered no and there's a disempowered no. There's the disempowered no is like when you say no, when everything inside of you is saying yes. I really, really want it. No, I don't want it. I don't want it. You know, like that feels so disempowering. It's like, yeah, it feels like such disappointment in your own self when that happens, you know, so disempowering. And actually no judgment, but when you find yourself doing it, look alive, because it's kind of like, you want to sort of bring that energy back. You want to sort of bring that aliveness back, if that is your experience, but the empowered no is when you've been extended, invited, offered, or if you've been presented with something and it just doesn't feel in resonance or feel aligned right now. And you will say, like, I just have to say to you that it's not really in alignment, or it's not in resonance right now. So I'm saying an empowered no, but I'm open maybe for the future. If you are open for the future, if you, like I'm open for this maybe changing in the future, but not right now, something along those lines. So yeah, and actually playing with that. What else is coming up for anybody, if anything? Irene, you're back home. Yay.
Yeah. Okay. The whole week is right on point for me, because I just applied for an apartment to be able to live again with my children. And I was so terrified because I was never able to have an apartment by my own means. So I need support from my mother, but I had to discuss with my brother, so it was quite complicated. And I have another one that I cannot leave at the moment. So I have to figure out, or I have to think that I'm able to have a greater financial surface, because I have been always terrified about the money. So I would always live with a very small amount of any income. And so these days I'm just thinking, okay, first of all, I calm down, trust. And then I am playing with the idea that it can be different, that maybe money will come in from sources that I have no idea at the moment. But if I just relax and can imagine that, first of all, I receive the apartment, and also that the money come, and I cannot imagine, because it was not my imagination up until now, everything is possible. So the very first step for me is really to relax, to relax, to accept. And yeah, I really love being more aware of the language. So I was half aware of the language, because most of the time I try to speak in a positive way, but I can see in my attitude that when I was discussing with my brother that I was feeling a victim again. So
I would love to bring your attention to your always statements, right? So you're like, I am always terrified about money, like that.
Yes.
That's your command.
Thank you. Yeah.
And it's lovingly bringing it back to yourself. It's lovingly just beginning to be awake and notice how you're referencing things. I'm trying is one of those words of non-commitment. So if somebody tells you they're trying to do something, it's like a 50-50 chance. Maybe they might do it, maybe they won't do it. But the thing that will make it so that they do it is when they stop trying and they just actually do it. You know what I mean? So I find myself sometimes subconsciously, and I was speaking to someone recently, and I can't even remember what we were speaking about. And she said, do you realize that you said that you're trying to do that? And I was like, I didn't even realize I said that, so it's like, so subconsciously, a lot of times you don't even realize in retrospect, because you're speaking and then, something comes out and it's describing where you are. And so there's this sort of sense of like being quite loving with yourself around all of this, being quite embracing of yourself around all of this. But at the same time, you start to pay more attention to where am I empowering and expanding, and where am I contracting and disempowering? You start to pay a lot more attention.
There is something difficult also, because I keep swinging from the real world to the spiritual world. So the discussion with one of my brother is very down on earth. and the other one is very spiritual. So then how is it when I show my papers to the people who will make a decision? So I have to really switch.
Yeah.
And this I'm trying to figure out. But thank you for telling me the always on the trying. Because it's true, it's more often there than the I do or I define, decide, and yeah, it's what I'm, let's say, exercising now. Does it make sense? Is it a better?
So I'm really hearing the alchemist piece for you. I'm really hearing the alchemist, particularly when you said you've got somebody who's very concrete and somebody who's very spiritual, and you're trying to you're basically communicating with the both of them. And how do you communicate on that level? Because it might feel like you're splitting yourself in two. One of the biggest parts with this is to have the mantra that the universe has my back. So you go into whatever it is that you're going into from this place of everything is serving my progression, everything is serving my evolution, everything is taking me closer to where it is that I'm heading, or the vision that I'm holding for the future, something along those lines. Like, so then everything that happens, all of the interactions that you're having is coming in from that lens. Now, why I say this is the alchemist is that basically, and the magician, so the archetype for this will be alchemy, and the alchemist and the magician. It's very much because often when you have the gap between who you're being and who you're becoming, the only thing that allows you to bridge that gap with real clarity is the alchemist or the magician that is very comfortable in the unknown place, that basically goes, I have no idea how this is going to happen. I can't see it. Like, my human self hasn't had the experience of this happening. And so I feel like a fish out of water right now. I have no idea. That's freak out zone for the ego, right? But like, if you go into alchemist and magician mode, where there is more of a comfortability with the unknown, you're then in this deep listening mode of, okay, what's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? It's a very different way of relating. And then when you come across somebody who seemingly is presenting themselves in a way that feels to be opposite to you, if you're going into it from the universe has my back, and you're going into it from that place of, okay, I have no idea, where the relation is here, it becomes a moment by moment way of relating. Like you become very alert to the moment, let's say it like that, right? You become very plugged into your now. So that you can and you also become very plugged in to keeping a level of center. One of the ways to keep a level of center is to tune into your breath. Tune into your breath. When everything feels like popcorn on the inside of you, so it's kind of like your nervous system is on high alert, and something akin to anxiety is going on. And it's like you're breathing from the top of your lung, and you're breathing really shallow. And when you feel into your palms, your hands are cold. It's kind of like you're in freak out zone. The thing is to come into breath. And the best way to start doing that, and you can do this in front of anybody. So, this is one of these things that actually works in any situation. If you remember to do it, you start to count your breath. And so I'll do that with you now. And actually, you will find your own count. I will give you a count that I use that's very natural for me, but then you, in the midst of that, will find your own count. But what you want to do is to really slow and deepen your breath down, right? So just coming into connection with your breath and coming into connection with breathing from the diaphragm. Now, breathing from the diaphragm is this sense of actually breathing in a way that communicates consciously to you that you're expanding your lungs to their capacity on the in-breath. So you're taking your full breath of air in, and then you're releasing on the out breath. So your abdominals are moving in and you're releasing all that's on the inside out in the out breath. So just taking a moment and breathing out whatever air that you've got in, and then breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. 1, 2, 3, 4. And breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that kind of gives you a bit of an idea. It gives you a bit of an idea. What it does is it slows down your nervous system, like it slows down that nervous thing that you've got going on. Whenever you're breathing in this way, it gives the body the cue that you cannot possibly be in a dangerous place if you can breathe so slowly. So it's kind of like it starts to slow down like all the nervous input that you're having going on. And as soon as that's happening, then you're able to access a part of your mind that you weren't able to access previously. And you're coming out of fight or flight. One of the things that I do if you don't really want to be like, or maybe you sort of like, there's so much thing going on that, you know, counting as a thing, is just basically putting 4 hands and then just tapping out the 1, 2, 3, 4. That could be one way of doing it. But I cannot tell you how in every situation this has worked for me. So there's not been a situation that this has not worked for me in terms of slowing things down and bringing me back into my center, bringing all of my energy back to the here and now, and making me more in alignment with my level of congruency, so then I can actually speak from that place of congruency. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Actually, it's great to have these sessions with you because it brings back all pieces of things that I have already heard or worked and so on. But you express them in a way that everything makes sense and the puzzle gets complete. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it's just it's reminding you. I mean, everything you need, you already have. And it's this thing of like being given a magical chest of stuff, and you're pulling stuff out and you're like, what does this do? I have no idea. And so it's almost like, and then somebody shows you and you put it back in the chest, and then actually you forget that it's in the chest and stuff's going on, and then you forget that it's there. So you're just not using it. You know what I mean? And then as soon as you come back into alignment, oh my gosh, here we have this again. And suddenly you're back in the power of it, you know? Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So the final piece here, well, I'm going to quickly just go into the Davik world. So one of the things that I actually speak about, and again, I speak about this a lot in the Quantum Business Studio, is around the Davik world and around when you are in congruency, when you are in alignment with a frequency, there's a command, and the way that I see this command, and I see this on all levels, right? So basically, frequency, when you actually take it in and you really hone in onto it, and I've got a very visual mind, which is one of the reasons why I close my eyes often, so I could just access the movie that's going on here. But like basically, there's this sense like when you really hone in onto frequency, what I tend to see is I tend to see light intelligence. And the way that I'm seeing the light intelligence is like all of this activity, it's like Anson and Ansness, all of this like intelligent activity that's like vibrating. But it's also busy in that frequency. It's busy creating the hum of that frequency. So when we talk the language of command, what we're talking the language of is awakening the light intelligence of that frequency. And we're actually then getting that light intelligence is taking the command from us as to how form wants to come into existence, how matter wants to come into existence, how physical reality wants to shape itself, you know? And this is what you would call drops of consciousness of divinity, right? This is basically divine intelligence expressing itself, you know, divine intelligence expressing itself. And can we connect to it on the level where we're able to really understand the relationship that we're having with that divine intelligence in terms of our congruency, and then also in terms of what we're bringing into form, the command that we're making into our field. Yeah. So I will speak more about the Quantum Business Studio tomorrow, but the Quantum Business Studio has been a way for me to really work with people who are doing soul work in the world. And when I say soul work, I mean that exact thing that I was saying of like that tugging and that yearning and that desire to bring out this frequency that you feel humming and vibrating within you, to bring this out into the world. And the soul is leading you into it. What we get involved with in the Quantum Business Studio is your capacity to really connect with your soul intelligence, your capacity to connect with your soul's guidance, your capacity to really connect with your own presence is one of the things, reasons why presence is such an amazing thing, because it all starts with you, and it starts with your capacity to know what your capacity is, right? Your capacity to connect to your own capacity. And so what we do is we start to open that out, because you might start off with understanding of your capacity being like this, and whatever comes in from that point of view will come into that point of view from the command of this. And then as soon as you start to open out to that, there's a whole other way that the world is responding to you, and you're responding in your world. And then you open up some more, and there's all this other stuff that starts to come in. So we start to open out your capacity, and we open out your capacity to then connect on a real soul level. The language of soul guidance is a language that, if there isn't a way of relating to that, can feel really kind of like out there, you know? Like we all know that we have a soul, we all know that we're connected to our soul, but then when it comes into having that be the guiding force with our one foot in front of the other, a lot of people lose connection with that, you know? It's like when I say when shit hits the fan, the last place we go to is soul connection for a lot of people, right? It's like, what do I do? Where do I go? Do you know what I mean? And it gets all like that. And for me, it's like coming into that alignment, where's the first place that you go is your soul connection. You know, the first place that you go is your soul alignment. And then we actually plug all of that into how do you create a business from this? So we take all of that soul-led, soul guidance, and we plug it into the nuts and bolts of things like marketing, things like sales, things like branding, things like basically bringing yourself out into the world from soul-led and soul alignment. So that's giving a snapshot of the Quantum Business Studio. And presence, like I say, is a massive, massive part of what we do within the studio. And then tomorrow I'll open that out a bit more for you. Yeah. And then the invitation will be for you to join us in the Quantum Business Studio. So I will see you again. I will see you again tomorrow. Is there anything that's coming up? Is there any last thoughts, anything that's coming up before we Yeah. All right. We'll meet again tomorrow for the last one this week. Lots of love. Take care.